All right, today we're going to dive into one of nature's most incredible and absolutely crucial processes, the nitrogen cycle. It's a true symphony happening all around us. But right out of the gate, we're hit with a massive paradox. Nitrogen is literally the element of life, but somehow it's also become this huge pollutant. So, how can both of those things be true? How can something so essential also be so damaging? Well, let's get into it. So, the story starts with the very air we breathe. Go ahead, take a breath. About 78% of what you just inhaled was nitrogen gas. But here's the catch. In that form, it's totally useless to almost all living things. It's like being thirsty in the middle of the ocean, water everywhere, but not a drop you can drink. So why are we so desperate for it? Well, because nitrogen is one of the fundamental building blocks of life itself. It's a core piece of the amino acids that make up proteins, it's in the chlorophyll that lets plants breathe, and it's even in the DNA that makes you, you. Without a usable form of it, life as we know it would just grind to a halt. The cool thing is, nature figured this problem out millions of years ago. And the solution isn't some big, flashy process. It's a quiet, invisible partnership that's happening right under our feet, all powered by microscopic life. And this amazing process is called biological nitrogen fixation, or BNF for short. You've got these specialized microbes that have a kind of superpower, an enzyme called nitrogenase. It lets them literally grab that useless nitrogen gas out of the air and turn it into ammonia, a form that plants can actually absorb. So who are these tiny superheroes? Well, the all-stars are symbiotic bacteria like Rhizobium. They live in these little nodules on the roots of legumes, things like beans, peas, and lentils. And here's a super cool fact. If you find one of these nodules and slice it open, you can tell it's working hard if it's pink inside. That pink stuff is a molecule that protects the whole process. But it's not just legumes. You've also got free-living bacteria in the soil, and even little ferns and rice paddies, all doing this vital work. And the impact of their work? It is just staggering. This completely natural process can add anywhere from 20 to a whopping 300 kilograms of nitrogen to every single hectare of land, every single year. That is a massive amount of free, all-natural fertilizer. Okay, so the nitrogen is now in the soil, but its journey is far from over. From here, it enters this constant dance, a balancing act between being available for plants to use right now and being stored away in the soil for later. And the rulebook for this whole balancing act? It's something called the carbon-to-nitrogen ratio, or the C/N ratio. This simple ratio is everything. It's the signal that tells the microbes in the soil exactly what to do with that nitrogen. Let's break it down. It's actually pretty simple. If you have stuff with a low C/N ratio, like rich green legume leaves, microbes break it down super fast and release a bunch of extra nitrogen into the soil. Perfect for plants. But if you have something with a high C/N ratio, like dry rice straw, there's a ton of carbon. The microbes actually need more nitrogen to break it down, so they pull it out of the soil, temporarily locking it up so the plants can't get it. So we have this absolutely incredible natural system. But, and this is a really big but, this is where the problems start. Through our use of synthetic fertilizers, we've basically overloaded the system. We've turned this elegant cycle into one that is just full of leaks. And there are two main ways it leaks. First, a process called nitrification turned the good nitrogen into something called nitrate. Now, nitrate is still good for plants, but it's super mobile, it's slippery, it easily washes or leaches right out of the soil and into our groundwater. That's leak number one. Then there's denitrification. This turns that nitrate into gas, including a really potent greenhouse gas called nitrous oxide, which just escapes up into the atmosphere. So the bottom line is we're losing nitrogen down into the water and up into the air. And the scale of this problem is it's shocking. Globally, less than half of the nitrogen fertilizer we apply on farms is actually used by the crops. Less than half. The rest, more than 50%, is just lost. It's a huge economic waste and an even bigger source of pollution. And the climate impact is just devastating. That nitrous oxide gas leaking out of the soil, it is 300 times more powerful at trapping heat in our atmosphere than carbon dioxide. 300 times. It is a massive driver of climate change that honestly doesn't get talked about nearly enough. But okay, here's the good news. We can fix this. We can plug these leaks. The solution is all about smarter farming, about working with the nitrogen cycle, not against it, to improve what scientists call nitrogen use efficiency. And these strategies are really practical. Instead of just dumping fertilizer on all at once, farmers can use split applications, giving the crop smaller amounts right when it needs it most. They can use special inhibitors that act like speed bumps to slow down those leaky microbial processes. And they can bring nature back into the equation, using things like neem-coated urea or planting cover crops that fix nitrogen naturally. And when we start combining these strategies, the positive impacts are just so clear. More nitrogen goes into the crop, which is what we want. We see a huge reduction in greenhouse gas emissions. And, of course, way less nitrogen is lost to the environment. It's a true win-win-win situation. In fact, just by putting these different ideas together, farmers can boost the amount of nitrogen their crops actually absorb by a massive 20 to 30%. That means more yield from less fertilizer and way less environmental damage. So, what's the path forward here? It's really about restoring the balance. It's about combining the timeless wisdom of nature, things like composting and smart crop rotations, with the precision of our best modern tools. Ultimately, the goal is actually simple, but it's also incredibly profound. We just need to ensure that nitrogen, this amazing element of life, can go back to being a source of renewal for our planet, instead of a driver of pollution. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. This whole incredible nitrogen cycle is powered by a vast, invisible partnership between plants and microbes. And it really makes you wonder, what other critical, invisible partnerships are at work right under our feet, and what do we need to do to protect them?